Hello, I'm Jeff.
Yeah, he is. I'm Ross.
And I am Patrick.
Oh, you're not Patrice anymore?
No,
Have you finished Emily in Paris?
I feel like, you know that part of me is dead now.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah, Patrice is dead.
It's so fickle.
Yeah. I'm no longer... I think I just, I'm killing the part of me that identifies as like European. Because I don't get to go to Germany with you guys.
So, that's you're going staunchly British for this episode. I'm surprised I haven't got Union Jack t-shirt.
But
or vest.
Yes,
vest
you were the vest, yeah. Maybe it's... I should have gone... I don't even know where this is going. Who's this chap?
Well, that's right. I was going to lead.
I was like, I have a question. Who's that?
I was going to lead into it and saying, you're going... I was going to say it's odd that you're going extremely British because although we are off...
Yeah.
We will be in Germany as from tomorrow, myself and Ross. We have our favourite American.
Yeah.
He sat right here. You've heard him mentioned on the show before. His name is Serge. His hair is of a blue persuasion. Blue-haired Serge. Here he is.
Yeah.
Very simple.
In the flesh.
Straightforward.
I am here.
Yes. So we met... Was LVO the first time you met Serge?
No, we met at Adepticon last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and then the first time I met you and Pat met you was...
I was at LVO.
Yeah.
Yes. And then...
I met Byron, Ed, and Ross at Adepticon.
The previous year. 2030,
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah. And like it was
Then
little like
Spiel again.
Yeah, then Spiel again.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, Gen Con. You were at Gen Con last year as well.
Yeah, I was
at
at Gen Con.
So
Yeah.
a few times, yeah.
Yeah.
So we
You get about.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
it does.
God, I just very cheap. Go everywhere. It's great. Yeah. But no, it's I. Then it was LVO, and then
I met you at LVO.
LVO,
Pat
and
met you
then
at
Pat
LVO.
was at
I was at LVO.
yeah.
And then I met
And
you
then it was at Adepticon.
Then Pat was Gen Con.
Gen Con.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So-
now
now
So a few
Essen again,
visits
yeah.
and then Essen again, and we're back.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for making the journey to come onto the show. It's very kind of you. I made that sound then like he came specially all the way from America for the show.
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
He did.
yeah,
Shut up.
I
Flew
shut
in
up.
specially. Yeah,
YouTube
that's
magic, mate. We flew him in.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks.
Yeah, because we've got that sort of money.
And if you want to fly, us to fly more people in, please join our Patreon.
Yeah,
Maybe we should-
absolutely right.
Listen,
Yeah.
yeah, you should. Just join the Patreon. Just
I will.
Even if you specifically Jeff, you should join the Patreon.
I should join the Patreon.
And
I think
then-
it's disgusting that all this time I've been involved in the channel, I'm not a member of my own Patreon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's diabolical to be truthful.
Yeah.
But what is it when we keep meeting you at all of these different conventions and tournaments and whatnot? What is it you're doing there?
So it's a bit hard to just wrap up easily.
That's
but
okay. We've done a while.
basically, yeah.
Strap in, guys.
For Gamescape, for the show that I work for, I do social media and some marketing, right? And one of the things that the store really wants to focus on is making sure that we have as much inclusivity for like, oh, you want to do miniatures? We have a vast variety of miniatures. You want to do board games? Same thing, right? So we go into conventions so we can talk to people and be like, oh, I didn't know that you were coming out with a board game, Ross. Oh, it's interesting that this is just a play on Monopoly. Someone's probably going to want it, right?
I've got to be honest, it's news to us. Well
Yeah.
done, Ross.
Yeah,
It's great.
I'll say keep an eye on Kickstarter soon. Just tell me the rest of the idea after this.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Don't worry.
Brilliant.
But so like we go and we just see what's new, what's coming out this year, and what is something that, because I'm more into the painting side.
Yeah.
What is something that I've missed about the board gaming, right? So like, is there something that just because it's not on my radar, just completely went under the table? And if there is, what can we do to get it into the store?
Yes.
But also, what I'm specifically looking for is indie devs that are either making games, miniatures, whatever, and making sure that we can get them into the store.
Yeah.
Where it's like, cool, you made a run of 150. Can we get 10 of them, right? Because otherwise, no one on our coast will either see it or know about it, or hopefully, if we buy the last little bit, you have enough capital to now go and do another print run, right? So that the store itself can have a little bit of a sway in what the market is doing, but also when someone comes into the store, they can go, oh, I haven't seen this before. Let me try it out.
So there's that kudos of having like a cool little game that's not
Yeah.
You're not tripping over it in every single local
Exactly.
gaming store.
And it's that appeal of being like, oh, well, I have a local game store that I go to. I have a local game store that I frequent, and that's where I play, and that's where the community loves me. But I'm in San Francisco. Let me pop by because there might be something that I haven't seen before. Yeah. Right. Neko Galaxy is everywhere for the painting side, right? And a ton of people know them, but not that many people have it in California. So when I was able to go to Peter and be like, hey, I want to get it in. What can we do to get it in? And he's like, here's my minimum order. Here's what we need. I'm like, great. I want people to have something in the States where it's like, I want to support Neko. I want to support Neko Galaxy. I want to support this company for whatever it might be. But I can't wait the week or 2 weeks, or I can't pay for the shipping over the pond. So it's like, cool, I can get it from Gamescape and it'll be there in 2 to 3 days.
Yes.
Right? So that you can still participate in all the cool stuff that everyone's doing over here without having to wait or pay the shipping cost. Because we absorb the shipping cost because we're not ordering one piece, we're ordering several. And when we price our stuff, we're taking that little bit of extra in the shipping and adding it, but it's because we're ordering so much, that cost doesn't bump it up by $20. It's bumping it up by at most $5.
So your bricks and mortar store then that you have in San Francisco, how varied is it with regards to what's being sold? Are you still a very heavy 40K or Warhammer, or is it a really good mixed bag?
Oh, it's a mixed bag of everything.
Good.
So if you come in and you're like, I want to play a board game, someone in the staff will be like, what things do you like? Oh, you like this? Here's the perfect board game for you. Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to play miniatures? Here's all the miniature stuff. Oh, and even within the miniatures, you are more into the skirmish side, we got you, right? Because just in the lines of minis that I can think of off the top of my head, we have Moonstone, Malifaux, 40K, I mean, Games Workshop, right? So 40K and the Age of Sigmar. We have also a handful of the Necromunda line, several of the GW, just one-off games. And then we also have Neko Galaxy. We're working to get in Mineworks, and we're literally trying to bring in as much as we can so that there's as much variety, so that you have the option. Are you a painter, or you're a builder, or you're a player? And then go from there, right? And the beauty of it as well is that I love Malifaux. Not everyone else loves Malifaux, but because I'm there often enough, I can be like, hey, we need to increase the Malifaux community. Let's bring in more players. Let's bring in more stuff. I want to do demos. I want to do paint and takes. I want to do this. And everyone is super supportive. And you can do that for literally any of the departments that we have. RPGs, we have an RPG game night, right? Board games, we have a board game night, but also a lot of us play board games. So it's like, you can come in and you'll find your niche.
Yeah.
But then you'll find the niche that you belong to, and then you'll find your specific niche within that niche.
Yes.
So you're like, I like painting, but I don't really want to paint. I just want to paint sexy vampire lords. And you're like, we got a ton of vampire lords. Here you go.
But that's good though, because obviously a lot of the time with the independent war game stores, a lot of the time they end up with a bit of a click, don't they? Where sometimes you go, if you're not prepared to play this, there is no point going to that shop. Yeah. If you're managing to keep them pushing that level of variety, that's really good, because it's so easy to end up going in a shop and going, if you don't play 40K, there is no point. I think it's really good. As much as obviously Games Workshop has been responsible for such a large swathe of us getting into the hobby at all, it's nice to know there's still other things that people can be playing, and that's kind of the idea. Because the rule that we have in the store is, obviously I can't support everything, every game that's out there, right? Yeah. But if you can get 4 to 6 people consistently playing the game, we will do as much as we can to support you. Mm-hmm. So if the 4 of us decide, hey, we're really getting into this game, right? The game that Patricia just released, we can all sit down, play it, learn it, and then you come in and you're like, look, I have these 4 people playing. Like, great, come in and play it, because when someone else comes in, they will see that the game is being played, they'll see that there is a community for it, and they will want to play it. And also the flip side of that is the people who are playing it want more people because someone's going to be on holiday, someone's going to be off doing this or
Exactly.
sick or whatever, and they go, well, yeah, we can still go ahead because we now got enough people to.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a big part of it, isn't it? Really,
it's a huge part of it. Like, so before I was hired at the store, I love Malifaux 2nd edition. Malifaux 3rd edition came out. They bought heavy into it. Then Malifaux 3rd edition crashed.
Oh, right.
Badly.
Oh dear.
So I ended up buying everything that they had, right? I bought everything at, literally they were liquidating everything. So I bought it. There's a picture of me. I'll send it to you, Pat. That is, it's my kitchen table. It's a kitchen floor where I put a third of what I had out, and it covers most of the floor.
Wow.
Right?
Oh my God.
Because there was just that much stock. I was hired, and I started playing with these two guys, local community members, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to play Malifaux?" Those two guys grew to being 6, and then just this weekend we had a tournament where there was 12 people playing, and
Excellent.
and it's in the span of a year. And again, 12 people isn't a crap ton, right? When you look at LVO and you're like, "Oh, there's hundreds and hundreds of people," but the fact that any given night, any given skirmish night, someone can come in and be like, "Oh, I see the game. Wait, they're Cowboys? What's going on?"
Yeah.
And you can have that experience. I'm like, yeah, that's what we want.
How do you feel about which ties into an interview that we've done not that long back? How do you feel about the resurrection of War Machine?
So I haven't had a chance to play War Machine fully, or the resurrection of War Machine. I got into War Machine 2, maybe 3 weeks before the community decided we are done.
Yeah.
So I bought a ton of models, and I have a ton of models. But I didn't get a chance to play it because it was like, cool, my models are painted, guys. I'm showing up, and everyone's like, oh, they've moved on.
Do you know your breath?
Cool.
Your sigh of relief of it being bought out was heard over here.
Yeah, I'm like, look, we gotta do it. It's a fun game.
And to be fair, the guys that have bought it, they're a good crew. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I think that
100%. If one of the things that I tell a lot of people, especially at cons, I'm like, look, if you want to work with me and try to set up a demo, I'm happy to do it. If you have a demo already set up that I can run and show people, I will do it, because we want someone to come into the store and be like, it might not be Sergio's favorite game, but it's my favorite game, and now I want to play it.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to bring other people in, and I want to come in because you need a space to play. I don't know how it is here in the UK, but in San Francisco, space is king.
Yeah.
Right. And if you you're not going to have a 4 foot by 4 foot table that you can use to play.
We're lucky if we've got 4 foot by 4 foot rooms.
Yeah.
Yes, some of the shops over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but because I think that one of the things that's been a major, if we do talk 40K for a minute, one of the things that's been a major issue here is that a lot of stores, when COVID struck, they got rid of they were allowed to reopen, but they got rid of that community area, because the store that the local Nottingham city centre store. Yeah. There used to be, you go in there sometimes to buy stuff, and there'd be people just sitting painting, or there'd be people gaming, and then just took it all away and for COVID, and it's not come back. And I think I think
it's just demos now, isn't it?
Small demos. And I think it's any store that doesn't have a space to play, it's I know we're really good friends with Byron, who has Element, and is also the main man behind Artus Opus. He's got a store in Nottingham that we absolutely adore. Yeah. It's the amount of paint in it is just ridiculous. But again, as it stands at the moment, nowhere in there yet to game. I know it's something that they are trying to work on, but I always think it's a bit sad when you go in a wargaming store and there isn't the ability to roll a dice.
Right, like that. So when I went in, because I went into pre-COVID when I started painting and started getting to the game, I love the feeling of being able to look at someone and be like, oh, what are they doing? What's going on? Or being like, oh, that's a new thing. Like, I've never seen that green line. It's like, oh, that's green stuff. That's the epoxy, right? Yeah. This is what it does. And you get to sit down and you're like, you leave knowing that you just made a friend. Yeah. And that's a great feeling. And that's what we try to do, because, like, again, we don't have all the space in the world. We can't host, an LVO size tournament. Well, we have enough tables that we're like, cool, we're capped at 40 players. We can try to squeeze as many people as we can because we want to give you all a place to game.
Yeah.
And whether it's like miniatures or board games or anything, we want to make sure you have the space. And currently we're working with other people being like, okay, you have a space that is for like a rec center. Can we host RPG night there? Can we bring large groups of people? Because now it's somewhere between like 20 to 40 people consistently playing. You're like, can we host it with you? And a lot of the times they're like, yes, because the store has the reputation of being not only a store, but a community hub and a community center. And it's like, I just finished school. What am I going to do? I'm going to head over to Gamescape. I'm going to chill. I'm going to paint. I'm going to talk to the employees, see what's new, see what I want to play, and see what I might have missed, which is the key part. It's like, what have you missed that is going to be your new favorite hobby?
Well, the good thing, isn't it, I think, is that if you've got two guys in the middle of a game and it's a game you've not seen before, even if it means stopping them playing, they can't wait to tell you about why you should be playing that.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you? This is it, isn't it? You, to some degree, without sounding like it make it sound like a Machiavellian thing to say, but they your customers are your best salesmen, aren't they?
100%.
You know,
Like nothing sells a game better than the moment you realize that someone is just like, this is my favorite game. Here's why it's my favorite.
don't get me
game.
wrong, you're going to get an utterly biased opinion of it.
Oh,
but-
100%.
but, but if you went, is this good? They went, it's all right. You wouldn't be as that, but they go, it's the best game ever. Why aren't you playing it? That's what you want, isn't it?
When you have someone come up to you, right, and they say like, hey, this is why I love the game, and they're saying it in the most like stoic tone, you're like, okay, cool, you got paid to say this. But when they're genuinely saying it and they're stumbling over their words because they're just so excited, you go, oh, they're saying it for a reason.
Yeah.
They're saying it because they do genuinely believe what they're saying. Maybe it's not my favorite game, but I'll try it.
And the thing is, in the nicest possible way, I think enthusiasm is the easiest way to encourage somebody to try something else, isn't it? It's like in my barbershop, I paint my figures in the barbershop, and people sometimes can pass and will go, what's that? And what are they? And sometimes you go, oh, it's this, and they go, well, what's it sort of set round? And it's like 25 haircuts to explain Warhammer 40,000. But you do your best and go, well, it's like, human races all over the galaxy and this, that, and there's aliens and there's this and that. And then I did this to somebody a little while ago, just during a 25-30-minute haircut. And he came back in and he went, I've consumed about 100 hours of lore podcasts now, because I'm now obsessed with it. And I was like, are you going to play it, paint it? You want to build it? He went, no, not in the slightest. I just want to listen to the story because it's so bizarre. But you think, and that was just me in passing. Go, well, it's this. And you think, but the passion rubs off on people, doesn't it? And it's such a nice way to sell a game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice way. And it's also, it's a much more like personal way of selling it. Because, so for me, one of my favorite RPGs is called Pasión de las Pasiones. Passion of the Passions.
You said that well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's almost like I speak Spanish.
It is, isn't it? You practicing that on the plane all the way over just to bring it up?
That's all I've been saying. It's just literally just like Pasión de las Pasiones. Pasión de las Pasiones.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a telenovela RPG, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, bro,
it's
wow.
phenomenal.
Okay.
And the entire point of it is that you have everything so bombastic, right?
Yeah.
You're like, no, how could I? And I've been GMing the game via Zoom, and one of my friends joined us because he's like, I like RPGs. Has never watched a soap opera, does not even know what like the subgenre of telenovela is, right? And we finished like two sessions, and he comes in and is like, yeah, so like why are there so many doors being kicked in? Right? It's like I find it funny, but I don't know it. And I was like, well, it's telenovela, and I'm explaining to him the situation. And he comes back to me like a week later, and he's like, dude, I've fallen down the rabbit hole of Netflix telenovelas.
Oh God.
He's like, I've watched so many of them. I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, that's great. And he's like, I can't wait for the next session because I now share that passion. I'm like, yes.
Can I ask a telenovela question here as an Englishman? I don't for a moment think Mexican people aren't sharp. I know they are. But at the same point in time, do you know it's trash?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it's trash. It's not like there is people tuning into it going, this is right up there with Hamlet.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
Oh no! Is it like? Is it something similar to like reality TV shows, like The Only Way Is Essex? Like
No, it's more-
nobody's watching it because it's good television.
Yeah.
but it's good because it's bad.
Bad. Is that what?
Is that a thing?
It's a
But I assume the Mexican grandmothers are like full.
So there's two aspects of it, right? Because you have telenovela technically just means soap opera,
Yeah.
right? It's a show, but there's a telenovela the way that we use it in English, which is just the subgenre of the overacting extreme thing, right? And that is usually, like Pat said, the trashy shows that you're like, I'm watching it because I know that the bad guy is going to get their comeuppance. I'm watching it because I know the tropes, right?
Is it basically like wrestling but without the wrestling?
Correct. over the top.
Some more sort of like horizontal wrestling, maybe.
I believe that there is a wrestling telenovela.
I was thinking more, the. Never mind. Yeah.
The more romantic side of things.
Yeah.
But go on, no, sorry. So you've got,
So you have that, and that's going to be like, during when the kids are off to school, and then you'll have the telenovelas after hours that are the thought out ones, that are the, hey, don't be playing like the villain song the moment that like you look in the camera, right?
Yeah.
But you have both of those extremes, and the people that love them hate the other.
Brilliant.
Every single person that I know that like loves the like, oh no, what have you done? Like, this is the worst thing that you've done, and how could you have done the thing that you've done? And you're like, show me what they just did. Like, stop to sing.
It's like, who's that guy on TikTok who's got he's got like a balloon and covers it in paint, and you're like constantly waiting for him to like pop the balloon. So oh, just wait a minute, and no, naughties. But no, like you're waiting for like the thing to happen. He's constantly like, oh look, when I spray paint this thing on someone's leg, and we're going to remove it in a minute, and we're going to do this, and and you're watching for 20 minutes of them
before
going,
you realise
we're going to do it, and then you're like, just do it, like what's going on?
There's an incredible gif of just like just doom scrolling on Reddit of this like truck racing towards a wall, and it's like a really old knackered truck, and you're like, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be the best crash I've ever seen. And they're filming it with like 1 billion cameras, so it just cuts just before it hits the wall, and then it just loops over and over again, and you never see it.
And you watched it 3 times before you realise that you're just watching the same thing. Yeah. But it plays that audio in the background that like sound like but it sounds like it's.
Do you know my Achilles heel for that sort of loop thing is anything with cute animals. I was watching one yesterday, and I actually thought to myself, how many fish can that beluga whale eat? And then I went, oh no, it's actually about a 15-second loop. It rolled its head over. They looked at its mouth to make sure its teeth were okay, and then they fed it the fish. And then I was going, how much checking of the teeth do they need to do, and how many fish can a beluga whale eat? And they went, I think I might have to watch this 7 or 8 times now. When I realised
just checking each tooth individually.
That's what I thought they were doing.
With the telenovela thing though, it's not just because I think I first heard of it because it was Ugly Betty, wasn't it? That was a show that then kind of like made what a telenovela is famous. But we've had them over here. Like there's a real, and I can't remember, it was years ago, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But it was like a proper, Days of Our Lives from Friends.
Yeah.
It was that, but it was real. Like, and it was that real overacting. Oh, like this person's the villain, and they've had a brain transplant and random stuff like that going off. But it actually was.
Yep.
And it's so ridiculous, but I couldn't stop watching it.
I'm now sort of wondering whether we might need this RPG game.
We do need a copy.
Well, I have a PDF copy. We can play it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, well that's it. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate watching. We're gonna go.
We'll have to slam a door.
I would love like a soap opera RPG.
You would.
You could just imagine do you know what we need?
EastEnders RPG, telenovela, Horus Heresy. I'll just Primark slamming doors as they walk out.
You say that, but that is exactly the thing that I'm running a month from now.
Really?
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, one of the events that we do at the store, what I was saying, right? The RPGs, we do it once a month,
Yeah.
and we have a bunch of tables that are just like, cool, bring your group, bring your friends, come in and play, right? It's just providing the space. But we also have different people running one-offs. So it's like, oh, cool, you want to try this game system or this? Come and play with us. We have a GM, they're going to run it. I have consistently bugged our events manager, being like, hey, Telenovela RPG, Pasión de los Pasiones. Finally, they have been like, okay, fine, I will let you run your telenovela RPG. So for next month, I am running a telenovela RPG using Pasión de las Pasiones set during the Horus Heresy.
Oh,
And I'm just like,
I love it.
It's great. Because I'm not using the name Horus at any point.
Who?
yeah,
Exactly.
Henry Heresy.
You're
not my real dad.
that is said so many times. I love it.
Shut up, Peter Turbo. You don't know.
Yeah.
Turn to the camera.
Yeah. You got what? Door breaks down. Oh no, it's Johnny Warhammer. Yeah, incredible.
But yeah, so like I was showing a friend of mine my notes for the campaign, and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know, this kind of reads a little bit like Horus's betrayal. And I was like, yeah, coincidence.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Another friend of mine comes over and looks at it and he goes, I must be in it. I request to be in it. And I want to just be dropping as many puns as I can regarding like Warhammer until someone realizes what's going on. And I was like, please do. Well, I want you to do it.
What are the Primarchs that are the twins? Is it Alfarius, is it? The way they think he might be.
It's Jennifer and Jemima Yellowhat, I think. Those are the only books I've ever read.
I think there's one where they think there's actually two Primarchs. And they don't know for sure if there's two.
I'm not massively up on my...
Because that's a real telenovela thing, isn't it? Twins. That's always a big thing, isn't it?
So,
you're thinking
it is a class that you can play in the RPG, by the way.
Yeah.
One of the classes is the evil twin.
Yeah.
And the way the class works is you create your characters, right? So you create the characters. You're the evil twin. You literally go, I'm Pat's evil twin. Here's why I'm obsessed with like being better at them at this one thing. And you have to pick what is your secret reason for wanting them dead. Because that is part of the evil twin trope. It's always, it's not like, oh, we're happy together. It's like, no. I hate this person.
I have to become him.
Yeah, I must wear their skin. One of the things
even though I'm not a brain surgeon, I must become the brain surgeon.
One of the things you can do is one of your actions is if they're not in the room, you can claim to be them. And then whatever you do is attached to their character.
You have to pick up the pieces when they come back.
So like if you could 100% just be like, hey, Ross, I just want to let you know, me being Patrick, I don't think you're a good painter. Your 3D printers are broken. I don't know what happened to it. And then walk away, and Pat has to pick it up from me.
Yeah, be like, Wargame arrested, shit.
Can't drink it.
I love, people have tried, I think. So, don't do that.
Don't drink resin.
It's not even something I would joke about on a video because somebody will copy you and then lawsuit.
No, it's so, like, the amount of time that, like, someone has picked up something. I'm like, hey, did you read the warning labels on that? Like, it's like, no. I'm like, you have a 3D printer. I don't see gloves. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like,
them.
God, no, please wear gloves.
I've seen
take precautions.
In like Facebook groups where people have got pictures and they're like, what do you think of this print? And their whole hands just dripping with resin.
Don't go outside.
I think go and get yourself to A&E.
Yeah. Before we start talking about the print, let's just talk about precautions and things like that. But again, it's a dangerous thing.
But kind of tying it back to the short is one of the reasons I've gotten slightly better at 3D print is because I have you to contact and be like, hey, I'm buying a new printer. I have a thing. How do I do the thing safely? Right.
Yeah.
And if you go to a store, they will tell you like, hey, this is how you get into the thing.
Yeah.
By the way, here are all the pitfalls that are going to fall in front of you. do not fall for these pitfalls, because I did, and I want you to, have lungs when you get
Yeah,
home.
yeah. You want to have a good experience and not die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's what I hope every single time I played Pasión de las Pasiones. I just don't want to die.
Pasiones les. Go on.
No, go on. I want you to go.
Okay, here we go. Right. Sorry, Mexico. Pasiones de las Pasiones.
Pasiones
Pasiones
de
de
las
las
Pasiones.
Pasiones.
Yes.
Pasiones. No.
That's 3 words.
Je m'appelle. Ma. Tutti flu.
Yes. Yeah.
Pasiones de
las.
Pasiones de las Pasiones.
There you go.
Hey. Do I get my Mexican card now?
That's it now. You are now officially a citizen of Mexico.
Pasiones de las Pasiones. Tortilla burrito. Tortilla burrito. I couldn't even say tortilla.
Yeah, that's it. Straight into the stereotype.
Yeah.
You're doing well then. Straight into the stereotype, just to be fair.
Right. What is the first thing you came to eat when you were here in the UK? We've had this conversation this morning.
Technically, it wasn't the first thing I came to eat. The first thing I came to eat in the UK was fish and Polish fish.
Governor.
Yeah, God. Actually, at this point, yes, that was what I had.
Right.
So I had Turkish food. Polish food. That was fantastic. My buddy is Polish, and he was like, "Hey, go have this." Great. His partner, and I have to preface this, I love his partner. They're awesome, and they meant well, and I am happy that they did this. The following statement has nothing to do with the partner. Great. Now, what happened was that the partner ordered us Mexican food, or what the British call Mexican food. What do you call Mexican food?
Like I said earlier on when we were having breakfast, David, I know where you're going, and I understand.
The thing is, when you say British and food in the same sentence, there's a wide space between those two words.
Yeah.
I believe that. After this, I believe that.
Yeah, saying like it's great where people say obviously like Britain's culinary delights internationally perhaps has a bit of a bad rep, but it's wonderful when you can say like, no, all my favorite food is British, like pasta, pizza, curry, Turkish food.
We're probably over a 7-day period in our house, we probably have 2 meals that probably come from here.
Yeah.
Everything else is
Yeah.
No, it's still, God, it's so British.
That's just what happens when you've had an empire. What more can you say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh.
Well, thankfully, the British didn't colonize Mexico, and we can keep it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine how good our Mexican food would be here if we had.
Oh, God.
Because our Indian food's really good because we had
is
control
true.
of that for a while.
That is true.
But if we'd have took Mexico when we took the States, maybe before it was the States, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe our Mexican food now would be really good instead of that absolute horseshit that it is.
God, so
It
the
really
thing
is.
I got really excited when we were reading the receipt of what we ordered, because it, like, first off, do you know what tinga is?
No.
Tinga.
Tinga. Yeah. Tinga.
Tinga.
No.
No. Okay. So it's not commonly known. It's a dish that's like a little less well known, right? It's shredded chicken. It's usually boiled with like chipotle, and you will add a little bit of like cream for some creaminess. That's kind of optional, but it has pepper, onions, or chipotle, onions, and chicken. Okay, boiled, stewed, and then shredded. But it's usually a thicker sauce, like a bit of like a pasta sauce, like a thick pasta sauce.
Right, okay. Sounds good.
I know
delicious.
where this is going already.
It's
But go on.
phenomenal, but it's not commonly known. Okay, everyone knows a burrito. Everyone knows a taco.
Yeah.
We got the receipt, and it goes 3 chicken tinga tacos, and I'm like, that sounds good. You have taken care into learning what our culture does. The next one was beef tinga tacos. Beef tinga, as far as I know, is not a thing. Apparently, tinga just means anything boiled, which is already a great start.
Boiled beef.
Yeah. God.
See, maybe I'm wondering whether you're getting a bit confused because we, some areas of the UK.
Explain his cuisine to him,
Yeah,
Jeff.
no,
You're a bit confused about your
I'm just thinking there might be a cultural crossover here that our man Serge isn't aware of. Is that sometimes some English people, when they can't think of the name for something, they say thingy, don't they?
Oh yeah,
Thingy. Maybe I wonder whether that they were just mixing that word up a little bit, which, like, I know what it is, but I can't quite remember the name of it. Maybe that's it. Maybe just
beef thingy.
Beef thingy.
It's a beef thingy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, beef thingy taco. Pass us some of that beef thingy.
There you go.
And the chicken thingy.
I am happy with calling that a thingy because that was certainly a thing.
Yeah,
It's definitely a thing.
Because
not finger.
No, it was not Dinga.
Different. Right.
Yeah. Because
I'm sorry, man. On behalf of our whole nation, I apologise for our level of Mexican food. It is shocking.
Food. Just apologise for our level of food.
No, I'm not having that. But I will apologise for Mexican food.
I mean, the thing is, the tortilla was fine. I'm sure the tortilla was just store-bought. It's just fine. I'm happy with the tortilla. I don't understand why there was so much vinegar to the point where I'm like, oh, it must be a really juicy taco. Oh no, that's just straight vinegar dripping out of this. I took a bite and I cried. Because it was just like,
Oh, sorry, man.
I think on our sort of miniature sort of painting podcast, what people are really, really keen to know was how was your first experience of baked beans?
Oh yeah.
So we had them on the fry up this morning.
Yeah, we did have it on the fry up. That was good. The fry up was
He has
good.
to say that. He's talking to the chef.
Oh, no, I did say to both of you this morning, I was like, it will be an experience.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it.
But you do have to eat it. You do have to what you then followed it up with.
Which we did.
But at least a home cooked full English.
Oh, it was
is
good.
better than because you can get them.
It wasn't full English. Like I didn't do black pudding. I didn't put a tomato on there.
It was close
Mushroom
enough.
is another one.
It was a 70% English.
Something like that. Yeah.
But it's better than the only other times I've seen people try them because they've heard of them is you go to hotels that have got all you can eat, and I saw this lady once at a buffet that got all the things that make an English breakfast, like your you've got your egg, your beans, your sausage, your tomato, your baked potato. Yeah, exactly. That look on your face is exactly. Yeah, and I'm like, so close. And I'm guessing she obviously wasn't from the UK, but she got everything and included a baked potato. And I was like,
as you do.
No.
Do you know what
I felt offended, and I'm somebody who eats British food, and I'm like, God, you can't even do crap food right.
Do you know the one I used to hate when I was in the military? On the weekend, they would start serving breakfast.
Yeah.
And then breakfast was open basically all the way until lunchtime, and then it slowly morphed as the day went on. So, as things ran out, they didn't get as during the morning, as things ran out, they didn't get replaced.
Yeah.
Is that why everything's the best when it comes to British food?
That's basically playing the British Army.
All right.
The one, and then another one would be people with like a full English breakfast, like around about 11:30, about 11, with chips, fries, and that
too much.
No, you can't put fries on it.
What is a full English breakfast? Because here's from someone that does not know what this is. Here's what has happened. You're like, so that thing that you had today. That's called a fry up. But if you add tomatoes, it becomes a full English breakfast. Except that it's not because it doesn't have potatoes.
No. So the potatoes was a joke. You don't put a baked potato on a full English.
No.
Okay.
No.
So a full English is what? Beans, sausage, bacon. Eggs of whatever variety you like.
Scrambled, they can be scrambled,
fried.
over easy, poached, fried.
Couple of fried tomatoes, and then
Grilled tomatoes.
Grilled tomatoes. And then the one that's debated because it depends whether or not you like it is
chicken
the black pudding.
Ah, okay.
Which
Do you know what
wasn't
black
there
pudding
today.
is?
I do.
No, I didn't do black pudding. I also, controversially, I love a hash brown.
I want a hash brown.
In
I don't think
breakfast.
that's controversial. I think that's
Well,
fair.
I think it's being adopted.
Well, the hash browns is coming from your end of the world. I think McDonald's
Anything fried
I think
is
McDonald's
probably-
is responsible for the hash brown making its way onto the British plate.
Yeah.
Can we add a fried Twinkie to the?
No.
No, you don't have sweet.
Sorry,
You can
America,
also
I tried.
have sliced. Talking of potato, you can have sliced potato cake.
Oh, that's like Scottish.
What's
They
the
have them a lot in
difference?
Scotland.
What's the difference there?
It's almost like it's pancake. It's like a slice of pancake, but it's actually predominantly made out of potato and flour.
Oh, okay.
and flattened.
okay.
Yeah.
You can
it's
have that.
an offshoot of a gnocchi.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And other things you can have. The problem being with the full English is that it can, if you head over to like Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, then you start to have
Guinness with it.
Guinness, even no matter what time of the morning it is. You have soda bread. So you can have soda bread, which is like this really quite a thick, very dense type of bread.
Okay.
It can go lot of variety. It's like we were talking about, it's like the British accent is, depends on where you go for your full English, it can vary from place to place as to what's in it.
Fried bread is one that I always used to
fried bread.
which is just a slice of bread in a sliced loaf, and then you fry it.
It's fried up. Okay.
But yeah, so it's all thingy. But yeah, so that's the food phase.
Thanks for joining us for the food phase.
That's the food phase of the painting phase.
I'm interested in your gaming store, like coming pretty much exclusive.
Well done bringing it back round.
Yeah, thank you.
You are.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm trying.
He's thinking of the question as he's saying the words.
God, get away from baked beans.
Yeah.
I'm keeping the camera locked on me, so I'm going to say the thing.
But the thing about the baked beans.
No.
Why did you add ketchup?
We've got to quickly do that.
Oh, the baked beans. So they're in a tomato sauce. It's not ketchup has a lot more sugar in.
Okay,
like,
and
ketchup
more vinegar.
is a lot sweeter.
Not ketchup. So,
Okay.
Baked beans. It's just
the best way
bean
really
lubrication.
Baked beans, really.
That's all it
Baked
is.
beans is really. I don't know if you've ever picked it up from like the British Isle in the some of your supermarkets in America have it, is brown sauce. HP sauce. What is that?
Yeah.
You know,
We need to play. We need to play the game. I'm going to show you a word, and you have to pronounce it.
don't
God.
you do that?
Where's this
I
coming
know
from?
I know what you're going to do. Don't do that. That's not fair. Don't do that to me.
I don't get how
Don't
we
do that.
segue into
Will
this.
Will get
this
me
American
cancelled.
flew all the way to be on this show. Don't
Well, you
do
flew
that
me.
to
I
him.
can read the word.
Yeah, no, and it's great. No, it's just wonderful.
Yeah. You're on our show. You're already on the way to getting cancer. Oh, I see what we're going. Yeah. Say that word.
There's so many letters in there that you don't pronounce, and the one that you need to
crack on,
isn't
big guy, let's
even
go.
in the word.
Yeah, we have a go at people saying aluminum.
yeah. Like this is like I'm all for our differences to be celebrated, and it is a wonderful thing. And this is just such a stupid thing about the English language.
I wonder if anybody watching right now can guess the word. So
yeah.
we'll give you an idea. It's a drizzly sauce.
Yeah.
I saw an
You put it on
incredible
cheese on toast.
I saw an incredible TikTok that was like all this sort of like emotional like footage, and it was almost like a very soft spoken therapist saying like, there's 3 things in life that are the hardest to say, and it was like, I'm sorry I was wrong, I love you, and Worcestershire sauce.
I
So close, gone.
For full transparency, did look up because Pat handed me his phone with the sauce on there.
What sauce?
I clicked on pronunciation. I still have no clue how to say this. Worcestershire. I don't know.
It's off to a good start.
Worcestershire sauce.
What was that? That was good. That was very close.
For
Yeah.
anybody watching right now, please Google this sauce, or please try to pronounce
The only
it.
thing is now that you've said it so badly, I want to go and say it, and I'm now worried I'm going to kill
Yes.
it.
Yeah. So it's from a place called Worcester.
Okay.
Which is spelled
Worcestershire?
Yeah, so it's like Worcester. See, I get it wrong.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
Or
Worcestershire
Worcestershire
Or
sauce.
Worcester sauce.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you've got to learn, the first thing to learn with regards to...
Yeah, like Shire's not even in it, is it? You just call
But
it...
this is quite funny because, when you think about the fact that Lord of the Rings,
Worcestershire.
The Hobbit
Yeah.
was written by an Englishman,
Yeah.
and it's the Shire. But it's a funny thing about it is it's something we never say. We say sh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worcestershire. We never say Shire,
sauce.
even though we say the Shire.
Yeah.
But we never say
There's-
it's just a sh.
There's also an incredible video of an old Italian chef trying to pronounce it. And it's just so good.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
You have to be trial by fire. I'm
There we
afraid.
go.
Yeah.
So,
So
and for our next guest from the US,
We'll
get practicing.
Yeah, we'll persecute them as well. So anyway, what was you going to say about gaming
the
stores?
English
Yeah,
language
gaming
is-
stores.
No,
I thought you were gonna hand me like a Welsh town or something.
Oh,
where it's like
No, we're not
like-
that cruel.
Yeah, I was like,
we
God,
can't even
we
pronounce
don't, we
that.
don't know either.
Yeah, Worcestershire sauce. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's such a stupid word. So you run a friendly, well, help run like and market at your friendly local gaming store. One thing that struck me going to like Gen Con and other conventions, like outside of Warhammer, is just how massive card games are. How much of your shop is card games? Like, is miniatures the biggest thing you do, or
No.
not?
No. So the biggest thing we do is, well, biggest thing in volume wise, like the actual space on the store is going to be board games, right? Then the next one is, if you're looking at biggest in like actual amount of sales, it's TCGs. It's card games.
wow.
Yeah.
So Magic and Pokemon are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Right now, One Piece is really, really taken off in our community. So we have like events every Sunday for One Piece games.
Is that One Piece as in from the cartoon from the manga?
It's the manga, the anime
Has that
as
took
a
off
TCG.
since the shows got popular then?
Yeah.
Because they did the live action, didn't they?
So here's the thing, and I'm going to get a lot of people that are nerdy already hating me. I've never seen Star Wars. I've never consumed any Star Wars media, but I love sci-fi.
How have you managed that?
I grew up in Mexico. that's how. No,
They
it's-
didn't have a telenovela version of
Yeah,
it.
I was going to say, to be fair, there isn't a lot of door slamming in Star
yeah.
I
Wars.
think,
when
I
they
think
make
most
me-
of the Star Wars storyline has come from a telenovela script. Like, someone's not someone's dad.
Yeah, but they took all the fun bits out. You gotta have the door slamming when you're like, you're not my father.
I watched.
Oh, no, but he is.
Yeah.
That's the problem. He is his father.
No, don't say that to your father.
Yeah, spoilers, Jeff.
sorry.
I saw for my birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, me!
Yay.
Empire
happy
Strikes
birthday
Back
to-
in the cinema for the first time,
Yeah.
and it was such an incredible experience. Yeah, the two people
Really?
that I was with fell asleep.
Wait, hang on. Sorry.
nice.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Right, that's-
I've seen
yeah.
it before a lot. It's my favorite movie, but I'd never seen it in a cinema. I wanted to go and see
come
it
to that?
on the big screen.
He got offered. I
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, we're too busy. Yeah,
it's
so
something else, but-
getting ready for this week.
Yeah.
Travel.
Yeah.
Oh, got to get to Germany. To get to a gaming convention.
But I'm unfortunately old enough to have seen it in the cinema on its release.
Yeah.
And Star Wars.
It's so good. I haven't seen
I
it.
have got a bit of a problem with Empire Strikes Back.
I don't want to know.
No, I'm going to tell you anyway. If it's ruined it for me, I'm ruining it for you.
Wait, hang on. Before you do that, which version was it? Do you know?
It was the kind of the revamped version, but because
Yeah,
Empire was just so good, essentially all they did to it was around Cloud City, just made some of the windows a bit bigger.
And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
And that
and
sort
they
of stuff.
actually, to be fair, improved the Wampa scene.
Yes, they did. Yeah, yeah,
Is that the Wampa? Is that the beginning with the?
yeah, like the
because
Yeti creature.
You never
Yeah.
saw it, did you?
Is the original?
Sorry, Serge. We'll get.
I'm like, is that the scene where he's trying to get the lightsaber?
Yes.
Or like
Yeah,
when he
yeah,
cuts
He's
into
trying to
the...
get to lightsaber.
Yeah.
No, that's a tauntaun. The thing that he comes into.
I thought they
when he's
smelled
hanging
bad.
upside
Yeah.
down, he's trying
He
to.
says he's never seen it.
I hang around nerds for a living. I know all the references.
Yeah.
He tries to use the Force to get the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then when he gets himself free, then he attacks the Wampa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the newer version, as he starts to do it and the lightsaber starts to rattle,
Yeah.
the Wampa gets up from meeting Luke's Tauntaun, and then you get the sense of peril as it makes his way towards him at speed.
Okay.
So-
And it adds more
Yeah.
emphasis on them getting hold of that lightsaber.
So
and
I
it is
think-
a good improvement.
I think I know what your criticism of Empire is going to be, and is it the time that Luke spends on Dagobah?
It can't cope with it.
You think?
You're right. I can't cope with it.
You think? Oh, he's only there for a few days, but actually, he's there for quite a long time, isn't he?
But it then makes the fact that then you go and put it Leia and Han and everybody else being on the run. Looks like they've been on the run for about 3 hours, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you're going, how long have they been on the run? They've got to have been on the run. Well, depending if you're looking at Interstellar, they could have been on the run for 6 hours. They can't take about it. Could have been months. But you're going, Star Wars doesn't do that. It runs everyone's on roughly running the same sort of period of time. But you go, they are on the run for a long time when they've left Hoth before they get to Cloud City. because that's the time they're away from Luke.
They're just in that worm all the time.
They must be in that worm for weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's
I've
like-
you know what? I've never thought about that before. It's never because I don't think I've cared enough. But
That's actually, and like that's the great thing about, I think, that film is you kind
how
of.
did you know?
I think you've mentioned it before.
maybe.
But
one of
then
the other
also,
rants.
I was thinking about it yesterday, and being like, oh yeah, I wonder how long. Like, because Luke's like there for a while, and it's training. It's like, remember your failure at the cave. Yeah. 5 minutes ago. Yeah. You're like, yes, Yoda. The thing is, like, there's so many spoofs, like all the Robot Chicken stuff of Star Wars, and the bad lip reading of Yoda singing about being attacked.
The seagulls.
And I only just got the connection yesterday, like, because that song's amazing and I love it and I watch it regularly when I want to feel happy, and just like Yoda, just like dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Anyway, when he's fighting with R2 to get the light, and he's beating him with the stick, Yoda's going, mine, mine, mine. And I only just got right. In Finding Nemo, all the seagulls just say mine. That's
right,
all they say. And, like, that's the connection. That's why they chose seagulls, I think.
Got it.
I'm so confused. But yes, that's it. That is almost as convoluted as the Darth Jar Jar theory.
Yeah.
Which I still stand by. If that was true, would have been a much
So anyway,
better
trading
series.
card games are really big, right?
Yes, trading
Card games. So,
Well done, Pat.
on Netflix.
So the reason I can tie this back to Star Wars. You'll be happy.
Because of their Star Wars.
Because they just released a Star Wars TCG as well.
Yeah, it's
so
meant to be pretty good as well, actually.
it is, and having not consumed any Star Wars media at all, right? So if I look at a card, I go, okay, cool, that's a weird little monster thing, or like, oh, yeah, it's a stuffed animal. I'm like, cool, that's a cool stuffed animal. I have no frame of context for any of this stuff. One Piece and Star Wars are solid enough games that even though I'm a One Piece, like, I love One Piece, I enjoyed the game. I came in because I enjoyed it. I'm like, oh, the game's actually really fun. Star Wars, have not consumed anything from it, was very much like, I don't want to play this. I don't really know. Like, it's just not for me. I sat down with my manager and he was like, hey, do you want to learn to play Star Wars Unlimited? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, it would help me understand what the game is, right? And we sat down and I played it and I'm like, this is a fun game. This is a fun mechanic. I like it. And someone was like, well, if you like that, then you should try Digimon and then Flesh and Blood and then all these things. And I'm like, right, there is 1.5 million like TCGs, which is, it's good because it means like if you like this mechanic or you don't like this mechanic, you can find exactly the one you're like tailoring for. But in our store, this goes back to like floor space being so valuable. We don't carry every TCG, but we can get you all the TCGs. Yeah. So it's if you're like, oh, I really want to play like the Universes card system. I need a box of Universes. We're like, cool. We're not going to stock it, but if you email us, we'll get it for you. We'll special order the thing that you're looking for. So like Ross comes in just being like, hey, I really want this thing. I want a board game that hasn't been available for 10 years. We're like, cool. We know the one distributor that has it.
You get me Space Hulk, Glenn?
You have a 3D printer, print one.
No.
But yeah. So
It must be rare if he's got to go all the way to San Francisco to try and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be some knocking about on eBay, but I think they're very.
I've got it, but I want it. It's in a box. And I don't want to open
it's
it.
unopened.
I want to be like, it's no, but it's not the valuable one. So you had the first edition. I think there was. I don't know if there was a second edition. I don't, because I was out of the game. But then there was an edition that was like the new one with the Blood Angel sculpts.
Yeah.
And then
The
that
best
came with the
7-8
awesome dice.
sculpts
Then
ever.
they
I was
re-released
looking the other
that
day, that's the one
briefly.
I have.
Yeah, so they
With the brown swirl dice.
Yeah, but so they re-released it, but you don't get the brown swirl dice.
Yeah.
It's the only difference. There might be some printing differences, but I've got that one, so it's not the valuable one. But I want to keep it pristine, and then I want one so I can properly paint.
Right.
I've got like the models that I bought elsewhere, but I want proper ones.
So I looked on eBay at getting the Terminators individually, and they're like very expensive.
Oh, they are now,
expensive.
yeah.
Even now, since the new Terminators.
They're still the best sculpts for like I say the best sculpts. The new ones are fantastic. Like I honestly
the
enjoy
new Terminators are brilliant.
painting those new Terminators more than any other Warhammer model.
100%.
I 100% agree.
They are so fun to paint.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to agree. You've painted about 40 of them.
God, yes. But you'd paint more, wouldn't you? You'd happily sit down and paint more.
Whereas Orc Boys that I'm doing at the moment, I'm just sort of like, after this, I think I'm all right.
Yeah. Are you regretting now building so many?
No.
Oh, good.
No, I'm not.
Okay, we'll look forward to that.
I think maybe like because there's loads of them, I'm like doing it a bit differently. Or like Space Marines, it's like, hey, all the armors are pretty much the same color, so you can airbrush it quite easily, and it's just like a nice experience.
Yeah.
Whereas like the orcs, I'm trying to use the airbrush where I can, but then I'm like, I've oversprayed green on his trousers, and then I need to cover that up, and like there's a lot more sort of thought that has to go into the process, or like because I'm just not like the best airbrush in the world to just be like, right, okay, I'll do that bit with a brush, and
I mean,
You'll get there.
I can tell you the best way of painting Orc Boys is you paint them albino, and then you have every single person that looks at them on the table go like, why does that ogre look weird? And you look at it and you're like, it's an Orc Boy. It's great. Why does it make me feel uncomfortable?
They do look weird when you paint them human flesh, don't they?
100%. And then you will be sitting there giggling to yourself as you're painting and be like, yeah, this is going to make someone feel weird. It's great. I painted so many of them. My entire army is all like flesh tone albino orcs.
I think the most disgusting Warhammer model I've seen. I've yet to see your orcs, so I want to see a picture of one just to be like, ugh. Yeah. But somebody did the great unclean one and turned it into like the great smooth one.
Oh yeah,
they smoothed it all out.
Just looks like a quite angry Buddha, doesn't it?
And painted it like flesh coloured, and it's gross. It's so
gross.
Something that should be green and disgusting, you make it like
smooth and pink, and it got more disgusting.
Human skin tone, and you're just like,
It's because when you look at the model, like the proportions, you're like, it's a really cool sculpt. It's like a really cool model, and then you genuinely start making it look human, and you're like, why are its shoulders like protruding over its head? Like it just looks weird. But it's that weird disconnect of being like, it's green, it's fine, it doesn't matter.
Do you feel with your shop that you start to get a good understanding of future trends now? Do you start to be able to predict, or do you still feel that when people just suddenly come in and go, can you get this, and you go, I don't even know what that is? What do you feel like?
So that's actually the reason why we started going to conventions, because it's really hard to predict some of the trends sometimes, because like for example, Harmonies is a really beautiful game. It's a small box game, very, very beautiful. Tokens are phenomenal. We ordered a handful of them, and we thought, it'll sell, we'll probably sit on it for a bit, and then we just have a giant rush come in, and like, all of your Harmonies I want, please, thank you, and we just sold out. And then we're like, we'll go back to our distributor. I go to the distributor and I'm like, hey, we need to order more Harmonies. And they go, cool, it's sold out everywhere.
Oh, wow.
So I assume sometimes can you predict what's creating it, or is it just sometimes just a weird?
No, I mean sometimes it is a weird just mechanic where you're just like again, following listening to podcasts, talking to streamers, talking to that, you can kind of see like, oh, everyone's releasing a bunch of content about this thing at once. It's probably worth stocking up, right? But there are some weird times where you're like, this game just took off and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like Flamecraft was a very clear, this game is going to take off because it's a very cutesy game. It's a family-friendly game, and it plays in like under an hour, right? So we stocked up a bunch of it. We have still some left, but it made sense. And then you have things like Wingspan. Wingspan is, I believe, still the world's most popular game.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And like, and they have, is it Withenspan? Is like the
Wormspan. Yeah, that's the new one.
Yeah.
So Wormspan is a new one,
the dragon
and it's
version,
dragon focused. And the Wingspan is a game.
Wingspan's great.
It's phenomenal, and it's a game that a lot of people were like, it's fine. It's going to be another like set collecting game. It's not going to be a thing. We thought that same thing, and then you start seeing some more of the hype, and you're like, it is going to get bigger. It's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. And You're like, okay, cool. We need to stock up more on this because it is getting bigger. We see that rise. But because someone saw it slightly sooner, they were able to get all the supply before we could. So it's like, great. We know that we see the trend that the game is going to be popular, but we see it too late. Now we can't actually stock it. That's why we go now to conventions and we're like, cool, I'm there. And I'm like, hey, gotta let you know, this is what I think of the next game is going to be. Let's stock it. And it also helps me because on our the Gamescape's Instagram page, as well as our newsletter, we will put out things, and you'll be surprised sometimes people will be like, oh, I didn't know I wanted that game. Can I get 5 copies? I'm like, why? It's like, well, see, one is for me, one is for my partner so that we can leave it in their apartment, and one is for my parents so that I can have something to play. And I'm like, all right, cool, we'll get you 5 copies.
Holy crap.
And people, like, legitimately, it's hard to predict what they're going to do unless you're literally out there, boots on the ground, trying to figure out the trends. Because, I mean, everyone decided this year was going to be the year of, like, card games and trick-taking games, but it's also the year of possums. So there's a ton of possum games. And
just randomly,
it's randomly a trend. It's like you just look at it and you're like, what is going on? And that's the thing, because when you think about it, a game, just any game, right? It's gonna take playtesting, then you go to manufacturing, and then you go to this. So you can have an idea today that's like, oh, I want Ross Monopoly, right? Perfect. The idea that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
And then
coming soon.
Ross,
It's gonna be great.
Rossopoly.
Yeah, all the places are being replaced instead of places in the UK, it's places on Ross.
Yeah. The train stations are the nipples.
Connected orifices are train stations. All right. Like nose, mouth, ears.
I think my phone might be broke on that Kickstarter.
Yeah, I don't think I'm backing it. Just saying. But yeah, like
you can send me a review copy and be like, "Oh, I need a video like in 2 days." Nice one.
Yeah. The utilities are 2 different erogenous zones.
Yeah. God,
the back of the knee, right next.
I want you to look back at the stats on this video and see if there's any drops specifically at that point. Make a timestamp.
But yeah, so like you'll have an idea and you start planning it and you start going. And then someone else will also have the same idea, either because they saw your game and you're like, oh, that's actually a pretty cool thing. And they're thinking like, well, yours will come out first and then mine will come out next. Yeah. So it's not like an immediate overlap, maybe a couple of months, a couple of years, whatever. But all of a sudden, because everyone's working on it, and most of the time they're working on it in somewhat secrecy, then you all come out and you're like, oh, we all thought of making a game about, a play on Monopoly, or we all thought about tables.
We all thought about possums.
Yeah. In this case, we've all thought about possums.
We've all thought, cute animals sell, and our thing. It's weird. It's like, because I've been to a few of these now, and like last time, I've never, as I've said to you guys, I've never been a big board game fan. I haven't got any friends. I have now.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
I can introduce you to solo games. I got play.
Sorry, I've got a solo hobby. It's fine. Reviewing 3D printers.
Yeah.
Don't be crude.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I was thinking Russia King, but that's fine.
But yeah, but then when I went to Gen Con last year with the guys from Element, and they were all like, just, you're right, the energy and the excitement of people. And I walked away, like I almost, they let me like use some of their case space, but I got to the airport and I was like, there's my bag, and they're like, you're over, that'll be an extra $190. And I'm like, can I just empty it and put it in their cases? They were like, yeah. So I put my stuff in 3 people's cases. And then I had to do the same with you this time, didn't I? I was like, can you put this in there? I wasn't overweight that time.
No, it was more volume.
It was,
Like, I thought it was just a power move.
No, it was big. It was, I got my kids some like big D20s, foam D20s, so they took up space, not thingy. But yeah, like the excitement. So like we got Doomlings. Yeah. Doomlings was like, it really blew up. It's just another Exploding Kittens and that sort of thing. But it's funny and it's thingy, and it's about the end of the world, and you've got phases, and you go through, and you've got to build your most powerful deck by the end of phase 4 when there's a calamity.
And then you go.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I'll bring it. In fact, I'll bring it in one week and I'll show you. I'll have a quick game. But Final Girl as well.
Final Girl by Van Ryder, great. Also, just shameless self plug. So I love Final Girl. It's literally my favorite game because it's a solo game and I love horror theme.
Yep.
At Gen Con, they had the big miniatures, and I went like, Byron is one of the guys that is the heads of Final Girl. I went up to AJ, who writes the stories for Final Girl.
Oh, bro.
And I was like, hey, AJ, Byron, can I just steal 2 of those models and paint them up for Essen and just you have them at the booth? And he goes, yes. So I'm painting the models that are going to be at the Essen booth
fantastic.
for Final Girl.
Cool.
And I'm like, yes, I love it. Because it's such an awesome feeling. I'm like, I love this game. And now part of me is just there.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Amazing. That's amazing. Has either of you tried Final Girl?
No, I've heard of it. People were raving about it at Gen
So
Con.
good. Like, it's a bit
So
of a
good.
weird one, isn't it? Like, you've got to buy a core box and a cassette.
Yeah.
But there's various cassettes, and each one is like you get 2 like the Final Girl in
Yeah.
the horror movie who you play, but
Yeah.
then each one's got a scenario and a killer. So you can buy like the clown guy walking around the theme park, or you can buy the alien on the spaceship.
Yeah.
But what you can do is after you've played a couple, you basically go around each turn. You have to rescue survivors and then kit yourself up well enough to take on the bad guy.
Yeah.
I have not won a game yet. Like I've not completed it. Me and my wife play together.
Yeah.
But then you can mix and match. So you can have these girls with that killer on that board, and they've all got different stats. So once you bought 1 or 2, and then they do it in seasons as well. So it's proper 90s video cassettes.
Yep.
Oh, so everything they've done so clever with it, and it's fun.
It is. It's super fun, and some of the stuff for the 3rd season, which I've seen some of the like the retro stuff. It brings it up to, if you're a fan of horror, you look at it and you're like, oh, I see all the references they've done. I see all the cool stuff, right? But it's bringing up some like 90s horror into it, and if you're like a newer kid, you're like, oh, I remember seeing that movie when I was like 10, right? But their goal is to also bring more modern movies in it as well.
Yeah.
So like someone can be like, oh, I like horror, I recognize that reference, I'm gonna play it, and then you realize how good the game is, and you're like, cool, time to pick up everything else.
Yeah.
Because the other fun thing that they do is, you're right, you can take a killer and then take up a scenario and then play it.
Yeah.
But they released this booklet that's like $8 that tells you how that killer could have found themselves in that location. So like it makes sense.
Oh, okay. So it adds it to the lore.
Yeah,
Right.
So it's like a lore book, because it's just simply like it. Okay, yeah, it makes sense that the the Jason clone is in a camp, right? That makes sense. But then you're like, why would he then be in like Africa for like a weird ritual? They've taken that and have made it and be like, here's how Hans could have found themselves in this location.
Oh my God, are you talking about Jason? I remember it's just popped into my head. Is it Jason X, where like it's Jason, but he's in space?
That is what one of the scenarios is.
Yeah.
I love that film. It's so bad. I haven't watched it in so long.
That's the one.
So
I've
good.
never seen it. That's the one where like he gets the metal
potentially-
mask. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I've not
like-
seen it, but I've seen the
like
posters.
potentially only 20 years ago. How old would I have been? 15. Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
definitely more creative with movies in the 90s, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say creatives, I mean we didn't care.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty
100%.
much. Pretty
Have you
much.
ever watched people under the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched so many. Like, there are so many 90s movies I missed that, like, I'm watching now, and it's just random stuff. Like, I watched one the other day. Double Jeopardy, or Jeopardy. How do you say it?
Jeopardy.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Double Jeopardy with, I forget her name, and it also had, I forget his name, but Tommy Lee Jones. It had Tommy Lee Jones in
Yeah,
it,
and,
Ashley Judd.
Ashley Judd.
So, and
Is that the one where she's accused of murdering her husband?
Yeah.
And
spoilers.
it's not a spoiler.
It's from the 90s.
No, not only that, but it's the whole title. That's what it refers to.
Yeah. So it's literally she's accused of killing her husband,
But he hasn't. He's just done a runner.
He's done a runner.
Yeah.
She goes to prison for it, but because she's already done the sentence for the crime,
She can now go and
she
kill him.
can now go.
She
and
can
kill
now
him.
Yeah.
murder him. Yeah. It's a great movie
Because
Definitely
you
recommend
can't be tried for the same crime twice,
twice.
which I think some people have confused with, like, what? You've already arrested me once for armed robbery.
Yeah.
Like,
You can't be tried for the exact same crime twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
for
especially if
like
you've
the
been punished.
murder of a specific person.
Especially
Yes, but if you
for it.
commit armed robbery twice, you can get
Yeah.
For all of our listeners and viewers who were thinking of doing all
Exactly.
Yes. Come here for all of the best advice on doing a crime.
Yeah.
in
Yes.
based on the American legal. I don't know if it's double jeopardy. Is double jeopardy a thing here? Or do we have an equivalent?
No, we'll probably have some archaic.
And I don't even know that it's a thing in the US. It was a movie I watched.
It is a take on a thing in the US.
Right, okay.
But what I will say is, if you do plan on doing armed robbery, I highly recommend Burger Bros, because it's a game all about robbing someone. And it's great. Yeah, you're robbing a casino, and there's multiple floors, and the higher you go on the floors, the harder they actually try to like look for you. So the game itself is controlling like guards that are just going, and if they cross over the tile that you're at once, you're fine. If they cross over again, they capture you, and the whole team fails because you snitch on the rest of the people. It's great.
Harsh.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. But what I love is, and I won't spoil this for anyone that actually wants to play the game, the box itself looks like a casino. It has several floors, and then it has a helicopter pad on top. The box is important, is all I will say. And it's a really, really solid like cooperative game.
What's it called again?
Burgle Bros.
Burgle Bros.
Burgle Bros.
Burgle
So, like,
Bros.
yes.
Like burglar.
There's 1 and 2.
Yeah, Burgle
Yeah.
Bros.
It's great.
Not like
Bagels. No.
What I can't even remember what it was called. What was the one?
Worcestershire sauce?
Worcestershire sauce. Worcester, mate. Say Worcester.
Worcester.
See, I tried yours. Worcester sauce.
Sauce. It's
Yeah,
Worcester
no,
sauce?
it's not
No,
Worcester
it's Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, but you don't call it that, do you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
You just
Worcestershire
call it
yeah.
after Worcester sauce.
No, Worcestershire sauce.
Right, I'm going to try him on Liam Perrins. Oh, I've told him. Damn it. But yeah, no, the one you said earlier anyway. But the
novella.
The novella, yeah.
It's so awesome to like come to these places, like you say, to go to the conventions and actually see, like, and as Jeff was saying, you've probably got a bit of a feel now for like, oh, that's potentially got legs.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, but like you say, random things can happen. And it's got to be hard for these companies as well who are making these games and trying to go, okay, we've got something here. And sometimes it can just be luck that gets you that little bit of extra. Like you get seen at the right time by the right people. That's what carries you.
100%. That's what happens a lot. Like so when I go to some conventions, not all of them, like Essen, it's completely on the store. But when I go to like Adepticon and PAX U and Gen Con, I generally go helping out a friend of the store. They have a publishing company called Data Live Games, and they made a game originally that was a miniature focus game, right? So Omicron Protocol, they created a whole entire lore for it. They created a thing, and the game did not do as well as it wanted. It did fine, but it did not do as well as it wanted. They then launched another one called Lunar Rush at a lower price point, completely different game. So one is a miniature skirmish game. This is a Euro style game. That game did super, super well. And everyone's like, oh my God, I want it. At Essen, they announced that they were releasing a game called Cyber Pet Quest, which is in the same universe, and it's now like an adventure, a dungeon crawl adventure. The amount of people that looked at it were like, I want that game. I want it so much, and it's cute. And it's like, oh, what do you mean I can't buy it this year? Then we took it to Gen Con, right? This is only a year span. They take it to Gen Con. It's finally done. It's finally there. And it doesn't do as well as they expect. And they're like, in a year, when we didn't have the game, everyone wanted the game.
Yeah.
But now, it's not that no one wants it, but it's a much lower noticeable number.
It can drag the like
And
this is the difficult thing companies have. Like if you come out too early, it can be damaging. Like one I've seen now for the past 2 UK Games Expos is basically like a Space Invaders that you play on a table, and you go in there and they had it all under blacklight, and my son and my daughter loved it, and it's basically like fluorescent see-through. Do you remember Lego, like back in the 90s, like Lego Space, where you had like the luminous yellow and orange things? It's those colours and it's tiles, and all you do is you've got a spaceship and you've got a mothership, you've got several smaller ships and some other bits, and all you do is both sides across the table and you flick one at each other and you knock them out of bounds. That's it. But it's bright, it's vibrant, and it's 10 plastic pieces and you just flick it. But it's been out now for 2 years, and my kids are now getting to the point where just don't care.
Yeah.
Like they're too old for it. It's not a video game, and it's like I really wanted that. You can go beyond, and I think they're delayed because like they're making now an add-on, an actual table with neon lights for the. I don't mean to critique, but for like the 8 people who backed it who want that, everybody else is delayed from these plastic bits that can be chucked out really quick. I'm concerned that things like that could delay them, and
and that's the other thing that like we've started doing as a store, and I do it myself personally as well, is we have to sit down and talk to people and be like, look, your game is good where it is now. Stop adding things that are going to delay it because of that exact reason.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know if it's just a general knowledge, I don't know if it's something that I picked up from the store, but there's times where I can walk into a store and just be like, I'm like, cool, that's a Kickstarter game, right? Like, no hesitation, I can pick it out and I'm like, that's a Kickstarter game. And every single time, I would say I'm correct, right? Granted, like there's confirmation bias, like I don't remember when I felt, but it's almost spot on every single time because you can tell when a game has been made to look good from one particular angle and they haven't considered retail. And they're like, oh, now we're on retail. I'm like, yes, you made it great. Your game isn't going to do as hot as you wanted because you failed to consider where it's going to be. And sometimes it's like, great, we can have that table, we can have this thing for the 7 people that want it, or we can get the game out for everyone else that wants it now, right? So that they can actually enjoy it and have fun.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like ultimately at the end of the day, you can have the greatest idea, but if you don't get it to market and you don't get it to market at the right time, it's just a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter models started failing. Like it was exciting when it launched because it's like, hey, back this thing and in a year you'll get the game. And you know, I got with the Metal Gear game that came out, which actually it fell off the thing, then another company picked it up, and now I don't know where it is. It's meant to be shipping, or it has shipped, or it hasn't shipped. I need to email them. But now it's like, well, I could spend this money on a game that looks good in a year, or I can get this other game now. And there's that many coming out. It's by the time some things arrive, it's almost like I've spent so long hearing about that the excitement has died.
Yeah.
And that's the other part where like I having a store that you can go to does help, because like, for example, I will 100% always I tell people I backed the Scale 75 drop paints that they were doing, which were the airbrush paints, because I went, airbrush paints, that was great, that's fine. And I backed it, and that was a giant mess.
Yeah.
Like the amount of emails that they sent me like, hey, so you aren't getting your stuff, you're not getting it now, this delayed, there's this, there's that. And I look at the bottles and I'm like, cool, the caps are breaking off, everything's just, it's not great.
Oh yeah, the caps on Scale 75 paints. So like you tighten them slightly too hard and the tops just break off.
We've got a couple of them.
I've had so many of them. Yeah, very irritating.
I've had that issue happen a lot, right? Where it's like, I mean, that sucks. But if you have people that can come in and be like, hey, we've done the legwork for you, we know that this product is good, you can trust what we say because we're actively doing it, we're the ones suffering so that you don't have to. It makes you feel more comfortable to be like, hey, so I have this thing that I've been wanting to do, or oh, okay, cool, I can take your advice because I know that you have a good track record. Yeah. And our entire community is like that, because our entire community is like, hey, so that RPG, you won't like it. Not because it's a bad RPG, but because it talks about these topics, which I know you don't want to discuss or you don't want to do. That board game, you'll hate it because it's a deck building game. You hate building decks, right? And it's really, really, really nice to have that. But before we even get to that, we need to know, are we stocking enough of a game so that when someone does their pitch, they can actually go and buy it? Because the last thing you want is for someone to have that Kickstarter failing model. You're like, and they're hyping this game up so much. And then you go to buy and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's sold out. And also you have to wait a year for the rest to get a reprint.
Yeah. It's a good
and that's it. You won't survive that, will you?
No, you won't.
It helps in some ways. Like there's a guy I always remember who's at most of the cons called Berkey, I don't know if you know him, top hat guy, one of the nicest, almost, I describe him as one of the most Americans you see.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably Canadian, I don't know. I can't tell with the accents. But yeah, Burkett, and he's lovely, and he does game toppers, which are basically
they're so good, yeah.
So good.
and it's just like, you know, for anyone who wants a gaming table, and it's like a recess, but it goes in a bag, you pop it up, you fold it together, and you can get like lock-in cup holders and stuff around the side. It's amazing. But as I understand it, the way he uses Kickstarter is he does waves, because it costs so much to ship the product outside of the US. He does like, we're doing a wave 3, wave 4, where if you back it, there's enough volume to put a load of these on a crate and actually make it affordable. Because if you looked at one with shipping on its own, you'd just be like, we're not paying that. That's a joke.
Yeah,
But
I looked at it buying it as an individual thing.
Yeah.
It would have actually been cheaper to just sell my home, move to America.
Yeah.
Have a table there.
Yeah.
Next time you fly me out, I'll just be like, this is my check bag.
Yeah, exactly. You'd need to be there, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, like that sort of thing. So it's a good model, but it can be damaging. Like people have got to use this carefully and right. And I guess, you know, with people like you, you've got the experience there to be going around and going, right, okay, this is what we've seen. And at the end of the day, you, if I'm right, want what we want. We want the games out.
Yeah.
Like the people who are making the games want the games out to sell well. People want games that are good. You want to sell games that are good. Everybody wants the same thing. So yeah, by working together, we can get more good games in the hands of people.
Yeah, I mean, the best way that I've always put it, it's like, so there isn't a competition. I'm not trying to screw you over and take your money. What I'm trying to do is make sure that you get money and then I get enough to stay afloat, right? You can make a ton of money on your own, but when you have access to another pool or another, like a side revenue, it's great. I lose you as the game publisher, as the producing of the games, if I screw you over.
Yeah.
If I take all the games and then just be like, cool, they're done, that's not going to happen. But also, as a publisher or developer, you need retail to be able to help you push your game to more people.
Yeah.
Help you find the person that is going to be passionate, that is going to sell your game for the fact that they love your game that much.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of times where it's kind of seen as like, well, I don't want to go retail because they're going to screw me over. It's like, no, we're not trying to screw you over. We're trying to help you. We're trying to make your game the best that it can be so that I can find the right person so that we can make money. Because once I purchased it from you, you stop caring.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, hey, I made my money. I don't care.
Or at least you can stop caring.
Right, you
to a
can.
point, Yeah.
But if you are a good, if you're good at what you're doing, you'll keep checking in and be like, hey, I noticed that it hasn't sold. Did something happen? Was it my box design? Was it this? And then we can now have that conversation so that when you do your next wave or your next reprint, we can be like, hey, so your barcode, it's printed incorrectly. It doesn't scan. And it's like, oh man, that sucks. Here's the sticker we can slap over it. But for my next box, that problem was fixed, right? And when you're designing it from the very start, if you reach out to a store, we can tell like, hey, this is how we display them. This is how it's going on. Instead of seeing it as they're the competition, avoid the competition, because they're like, no, we're all working together to achieve the same thing. We're getting your product into people's hands and getting it into the hands of the people that will then spread it further.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I would say Gamescape is not a store that only has 6 sales reps. We're a store that has our entire community as a sales rep, because they're the ones pushing actually the product out. They're the ones that are going to enjoy the game so much that they will get it to their grandparents. They will get it to the kids that will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right. And whenever someone gives me a demo, I've told them like, look, either it's a game that I don't necessarily see legs for, or it's not a game that I see someone in my community pushing. And here's why. I don't see them pushing into kids because I know that that's what you want. But hey, guess what? Your game is all marbles. You have a choking hazard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll sometimes get a demo and I'm like, cool, I'm not making any content for it. I'm not doing anything, but I know that this person in the store is going to love it. Like Necromolds, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's
Heard of it, maybe?
a skirmish game. It's a miniature skirmish game where the minis are made out of Play-Doh,
Yes.
and then you squish them when they die.
Yeah, you crush them, don't you? You
crush them.
You get
You have a little ring,
molds,
yeah,
and then you push them, yeah,
and
then,
that's a great way of introducing kids to miniature games. Because
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it's really good.
the list
It was
building.
at UK Games Expo. It was at one of them. I've seen
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Oh, he was at Gen Con, so
That's
possibly.
it, yeah.
But he
I didn't see that.
so the list building is you get the same pack of Play-Doh that someone else got. So if you're like, oh, cool, we're getting an army, I'll be like, here's like 10 tubs, and then you get these little books that just you press and squish, and that makes your mini.
Yeah.
And then when
So
they
good.
Brilliant.
it's so good.
Yeah.
When they die, you have a ring, which is your ring of power, right? And you go squish, and you flatten it, and it stays on the board. So you see, and they become terrain now. So now you have to avoid it. It's phenomenal.
And that
I'm gonna
was
keep an eye out for that as Spiel because it'll be easy.
Necromolds.
Necromolds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
This interview's going to cost you a fortune, Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything you want us to bring back for you next week?
I just want to see
so much. The guys I'm looking forward to see are the ID Venture.
out of stock.
Again, do you remember
Phenomenal. Yeah, those puzzle boxes.
The puzzle boxes, they're brilliant.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
still
yeah.
on the Sherlock's camera because that turns out I picked the hardest one to start with.
Yeah.
But they're all. The best thing is they're good decorations as well. So I put them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Nautilus.
Yeah, they're a
I picked
German
it up.
company, aren't they?
Yeah,
So
they are. Yeah,
they'll be there.
they are literally
they're
around
there.
the corner.
So this is something that I find frustrating with obviously the internet is a wonderful global thing. So games and everything, somebody from the US can say, oh, I love this game or I love that game, and trying to find them in the UK is sometimes pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Like just looking at Necromolds, everyone looks super happy playing it and I want it. It's out of stock.
But still get you one in
and
Gen Con.
quite challenging to
Still
find.
get you one in Spiel.
Yeah.
So like
It's a good way of getting kids into miniatures games.
Yeah, it's a great way of getting kids into miniatures game. Pat, just make sure you have a table that you can reach.
Oh, that was so hard.
That's horrible.
I love Pat, by the way. I love Pat.
Why would you be so cruel to him?
Is it now while we point out that his table actually has got an up and down on it?
Oh, does it? Nice.
yeah, it does. Yeah. I was gonna say, are you shorter than me?
I think I'm like a fraction taller, but it's just because of my shoes.
Should we measure you?
Well, I've got shoes that I'll just come and stand up.
yeah,
next
just
to
do
you
that.
now,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Pop
go
that
on.
down.
You show him, Pat.
So here's the other thing.
Right.
I don't know. I'm
Pat,
just
I
worried
wanna
this is gonna be
before you
mostly
go
crotch
round,
in the shop.
No pressure, but the prides of the nations and stuff.
Yeah, he is, yeah. He's already started like
Look, I'm
an
already
international
taller.
incident.
Oh, he's much taller than
so
you.
sorry.
Sit
I
down,
actually-
Sid. Sit yourself down.
I honestly can't tell from this angle. Go back to back.
Oh,
He's agitated. Sorry, Agi-surge.
Like my shoes do give me some height though. But
Yeah.
No, but mine's also give me a little bit of height. So here's the thing.
There's 6 inches.
Even the
on that.
dog's taller than you, Serge.
I mean, that's true. Bella definitely is taller than me.
See,
She's trying to show you.
So
yes.
Yeah.
You tell
Yeah,
him that.
1 minute, I will tell you.
So, I had to do that because one of my friends, they are now my friend. They were not when it happened, and I told Pat this story. I told them this morning. Julie, there you go. So, someone at the apartment complex that I built that recognized me because of these guys, and there's a picture. I think I'm standing with Pat, but Pat is, I think you're like crouching down or you're bending down or something, but it looks like I'm significantly taller than you.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, Pat is not. Like, he's like, well, yeah, no, Pat's short, right? And it's like, no. And then I saw the picture and he's like, yeah, Pat's short. So this entire time I've kept the illusion up that you're really short. But yeah, that was it.
No, I'm not a tall human being.
No, but like the tying it back to Necromolds, it's like
Yeah.
the fact that you're like, yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. Like at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, you can be 7 feet tall, you can be a foot. We all play this games and we all enjoy the same stuff, right?
It's about
so it's
fun,
like, yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, going back to Necromolds, the plasticine models are taller than you.
Yes.
Almost.
Well, there's some that are my height, and there's some that are taller.
There was, I think as I've gotten more into board games, like I like with regards to like Warhammer, like building and painting is very much my sort of thing that I really like about it. And then like listening to the audiobooks when I'm in the car, they've been like, yes, the Tyranids were murdering everyone, and then I'm like, hello, I'm here to film your wedding, which is good fun. But going to like UK Games Expo, especially, it's been quite frustrating each time. Me and my girlfriend, we'd go around and we'd play a game. Someone would go, oh, would you like to do a demo of this game? And we're like, hey, that was amazing. Can we buy it? No.
I know it's crushing.
It's out of stock or whatever. There was one game, it's like a language, I think it's called Da Da Da. It's like a language building game.
Yeah, it was at the front, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you put down like 5 cards, which are all kind of like, just say foo, fa, pee, whatever, just like syllables or whatever.
Okay.
And everything else is pictures. And you have to go, and you're only allowed to speak the names that go on the board. And so you're constructing your own language. So like fee might be nature and outdoors and whatever. And you just spend 5 to 10 minutes going fee, fo, and it's really stupid, but it's really good fun.
Yeah.
And we're like, can we buy it? And he's like, no. When we were at Gen Con, I found the publishers, and they had it in a box, and it was just like, want to buy this game? Go to a different shop. And I was like, God damn it! And it took me like 3 days to find.
Yeah.
Because they had,
you get it in the end, though?
yeah, they had a separate tiny shop in like a gaming hall, and I was just like, you don't sell it
At your booth.
because
Well,
it was
the massive booth they had at Birmingham Games Expo for the Star Wars card games.
Oh, and you couldn't buy them?
And my 2 boys, when they sat down, they played it, and they were loving it. And it was like, and I'd come back and looked at them a couple of times, was up doing other things, and they're really enjoying themselves. And I'd come back and I went, I'll have a copy of that, my good man. He went, no, we haven't got it.
Yeah.
And but that's fine when you're 50 odd, you can deal with that.
Yeah.
Then when you then go to your kids, I'm sorry, boys, but they haven't got it. And then they are, and I know it's not that simple, but they ask the obvious question. They go, well, why am I playing this then if I can't buy it? And you go, well, that's how it...
And that's what I said with that Space Invaders thing. I'm like, oh, this is great. 2 years now I've played it, and I saw it at Gen Con.
Yeah.
And I can't buy it. And I'm like...
Yeah. Like,
right.
I found I very much... I know, like, we were sort of talking about it earlier with you guys with, like, Kickstarter hype and all that sort of stuff. I ordered War and Terror. Like we've had them on the show.
Yeah, that's great. That looks good. I like the models.
And yeah, like I got it because I really like the look of the models and stuff. And they've had some delays and some setbacks and stuff. And like I've gone, like they asked me for an updated address and this, that, and the others. I'm like, it's on the way soon. But when they said, I was like, oh yeah, that is still going. Like I think I even did the which I just fully regret now. Don't regret ordering War and Terror. I think I can't even remember what it is. It was so long ago.
It's so long.
And I'm just like, it's the Battle Royale game that was free to play, and it's based on like Titanfall 2. It uses like all those guns and all that sort of stuff. And I can't remember it, but they made a game, a miniature game.
I'm joining in at this point. I've got no idea what either.
Is it
Also have no clue.
Yes. Apex Legends.
Apex Legends.
Oh, you sit down with the kids, Jeff.
Is that the one with being made by Glass Cannon?
Potentially. I don't know.
Yeah, if you say so.
They're making Dying Light, which is why I think they're the ones making.
The Dying Light I've played.
I've noticed there's a lot more of that. Like, I don't know if Steamforge started the trend of like, let's do
become board games.
Yeah, it wasn't just that, because they did like the Resident Evils and the Horizon Zero Dawn, which has taken off, and Dark Souls. There's definitely others, because Mantic have got Halo.
Yeah, Mantic's got it. Yes, they have Halo.
And then, but I'm sure there was others. There's I don't know if it's like Metal Gear.
Like Modifius, they've got Fallout, they've got the Mass Effect board game.
I was thinking
And they have Discworld. So excited.
Oh, brilliant.
Hey.
Yeah, so at the end of the year, Discworld RPG. I am excited.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I was chatting to someone recently, and they said, hey, someone was like, I played Mass Effect the board game. It's amazing. To it, someone was like, hey, like, that's really good. But then they're also they think that it's only doing IPs for board games, and because they seem to be very successful.
Yeah.
Like Warhammer is still the biggest, but a way of combating it to try and compete or take some of that market share appears to be taking an existing IP rather than building your own, because that's super difficult.
Yeah.
And going, okay, right, we'll make lots of Fallout miniatures or something along those lines. And their argument was that it's bad for the miniature industry because it will lose loads of really cool, unique like stories that don't exist elsewhere or something along those lines. And I can understand that point of view. Like I'm super thrilled that a Mass Effect board game exists.
Yeah, I am, and I love it. I think it looks fantastic, but I want to paint some Mass Effect minis that are of like resin quality, not so much prints, but like that. And the models that are online look great, but I think they were clearly the masters. That they used to sculpt, and like I love that we're doing this, but then when you reduce the quality, I don't want to say reduce the quality, but when a miniature goes into a board game rather than a miniature game, it goes into PVC or similar, and
like One Piece,
and you've got your One Piece lines.
And that's kind of the other side of it as well, is that you have companies that are now like Corvus Belli, right? They're doing the Warcrawl stuff, but they're also releasing a dungeon crawl later. So I'm like, great. If that means we get miniature companies into the board game scene that can make really good minis, and then proving that they can make really good minis, and then add a board game to it, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I would, like, from the miniature aspect, I would rather have a miniatures company make the models and have a different company publish it than have a company that it specializes in making, board games and components and all that, have them do the components that are really good, and have a company that someone else has done make the minis. Because it drives me insane when I get some of the models and I'm like, hey, these models are kind of not right.
Yeah.
And it's because we're used to getting really nice, crisp details.
And that's a precedent that I think Warhammer's set.
Yeah.
Because they are,
100%.
like they've said, they're a miniatures company, and we are spoiled with the quality of...
Yeah.
And
The problem being is it always comes back to war. All roads lead to war.
It does.
Everything, all roads lead to Warhammer.
But this is the thing where I do think we're slightly changing, and resin printing is coming into there because, like, Warhammer's got the quality and the not just the quality, the accessibility. It's so easy to put plastic together compared to resin and hold it together and not worry about it snapping. Now, it's different with cast resins, as James Taro's shown us. Like, those are very different materials, and you'll get more robustness.
Yeah.
But with 3D printer resin, on the most part, even the best ones, you'll either get it super sharp and brittle, or a little bit softer but more robust. But where I think, and I'd like to see more of this, is, like you say, the miniatures companies specializing, is if you go back to when HeroQuest first came out, it was HeroQuest. Here's I think it was MB, might have been.
But Games Workshop did the minis,
Games
didn't
Workshop
they?
did the minis, like, brilliant. And now the most modern example I can think of is Arkham Horror, which is an RPG, and Loot Studios have created the minis.
Wonderful company.
Wonderful company,
Amazing.
incredible sculpts, and they are miniature sculptors. And not only that, they've thought about it and gone, well, we normally do 32 or 28 mil, but if we do that for these, like the amount, you're not going to see the detail that we've sculpted into.
And they are
So
nice miniatures
they've
for
put it
that
up to
game.
42. They've put it up to
they're
42. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's
More of that.
Exactly. It's that kind of thinking that you realize when you're specializing in miniatures, you realize, like, oh, this board game does not fit in 32. Oh, but we made the hexes to be 32. Well, can we make the hexes slightly bigger? Is that a thing you can do? And it's all of the feedback that you kind of get when you start realizing we're all in the same hobby, we're all in the same industry, we should all try to push one another, as opposed to being like, well, I don't want to give you money because of this. It's like, no, just if you're specialized, help them out.
If you're not going to do it,
right,
we can do it.
If you're not going to do it, share. Like, and because ultimately, as the end consumer, it makes us feel better. Being like, yeah, look, I have really cool minis, and the game was really fun because the two people that do the thing that they do really well did it together.
Yeah, I don't know that, like, I don't know that miniatures as counters, and I'm genuinely saying I don't know because I don't know. I'm not just being thingy for drama. I don't know if miniatures are attracting people to board games.
No, I think the game attracts people to
like, would you still buy the Mass Effect game? I suppose question for the audience: would you still buy the Mass Effect game or equivalent if instead of minis it had meeples?
If the meeples had really cool guns.
There you go. So, so it does matter. Doesn't it?
So in the Mass Effect game, they give you the miniatures of the like the crew of the Normandy, but the bad guys are tokens.
Yeah.
But you can, as an extra kit, buy miniatures of all the baddies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
I think
it's there.
I think if it comes from a franchise, you'll want the miniatures because it's got a visual thing already you want to latch onto. But if the game is a new game, the game's design will be the thing that will probably carry it, I would say.
It definitely counts. Like, how many people argue over the car still in Monopoly?
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is that, like, in this room, we're primarily painters first, right?
Yeah.
It is really funny to see when people come in, because a board gamer, a person that has focused primarily on board games, does not want the minis. No. They're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, that doesn't appeal to me. Yeah. But a painter goes, I want the minis. Yeah. And then the game is secondary, right? Same thing like board games. But it's really interesting to see when people are like, well, we want to try to bridge the gap between the two. I'm like, great. If you're going to do that, then you need to make sure that, you have both of the best that can be on either side, because you're not going to appeal to a board gamer with the minis. You're not going to appeal with the minis, like for a miniature player with the board game.
Yeah.
Until they've hit the table and until they've played it, they can go, oh, the other aspect is fun.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's a 50. It becomes a 50% product to a wider thingy of people to a degree. But I suppose this is all things that companies have got to weigh up in the marketing. Like, how much do we want the miniature painter audience? I don't know that the miniature painter audience
for board games
is big enough for things. And I think especially nowadays, like I think we were moving on to in regard to the amount that's out there is damaging to the smaller creators. Like, it's such an ocean now. Yeah. It is such an ocean of good minute. Like, if you want to paint a shark wielding a lightsaber, riding a dolphin, there is probably a miniature out there now. And if not already...
there will be now that you've said it.
There will be now, will be now shortly after I've said it. But also, in 2 or 3 years, we're going to have, hey, computer, design me a 3D model that looks like this, and it generates it.
Well, sorry to have to wind it down, but I've a child to collect.
Yeah.
So, in closing for this, first of all, thank you so much for coming on and talking about where you see the future of things. And talking about where we find things. Where do we find you and where do we find yours? And
so
tell us a bit about that before we wind up.
Yeah. Well, before we say that, well, the other reason why I wanted to come in was because now you guys talk a lot about stuff that is, we have, like, your US listeners will be like, yeah, I really want to try that, but it's either hard to find or it's just not currently available in the US market. But now if you go to gameskipperstuff.store, you can use coupon code thepaintingphase, which you gets you 10% off of anything.
That's very kind. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated.
And then also, if any listeners just like, hey, I don't know if you're going to get this, or I want this, but it's currently not listed, or it's listed as sold out, you can email us. Like, if you email Sergio@gameskipperstuff.com, it goes to me. And you can be like, hey, I want this thing. And we can see if we get it, see if it's something we're able to get. And if we are, we'll special order for you, because I do genuinely think that the more people we get into the hobby that want to play things and are willing to show it off to everyone else around the world, like, that's great.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the first thing. And it's Gameskipper Stuff on every social, everything is, we're there.
Cool.
And then for me personally, I am Blue Haired Surge. You can find me on pretty much anything under that as well. And
you pigeonhole yourself with that one, haven't you? You can never dye your hair a different color.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm enough of a menace that I could dye it a different color and just be like, what are you talking about? It was always magenta haired Sergio.
Yeah.
You know what? You want to like.
You control your own image.
Exactly.
I wish we had the time to do it now. You want to create a telenovela where you're like, "Hi, I'm blue-haired Serge," and then you burst in with green hair. It's like, "And I am your twin, green-haired Serge."
Yeah, no, I would definitely do that.
So, for those that don't know you and are possibly in the area, shout out the shop. Where is it?
Yeah, so we are in San Francisco. If you know San Francisco, we are in the Divisadero neighborhood. If you do not know San Francisco, we're near Haight-Ashbury, which is the hippie weed section. So come and play some games after that. But yeah, so if you're...
come to you first before you go to the hippie weed section, because you might not remember to come.
That is true.
Yeah, so
write it on your skin with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Then come over.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're in the area, come by. We have events every single day. So you will find a community that like you can join. And if you forget stuff and you're like, hey, we want to do whatever, if you email the store or if you hit us up on Instagram, you're talking to me. So I'll be like, hey, here's our address, here's our stuff. Come by. Divisadero is super lovely. There's a ton of really nice restaurants. So you can come in, play some board games, and then get coffee, get some food.
Well, can I just say thank you for being out there for the community. It really, if it's pushing games, especially for the small independents, then that's, you know, because they're small independent now, but they might be a game everybody's playing in a year's time. So,
funny enough,
you, man.
Pandemic. Have you heard of the game Pandemic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the designer of Pandemic, and we didn't know this until this year, the designer of Pandemic designed Pandemic at our store.
Oh, wow.
Well, really?
So, yeah. So Matt Leacock, I was talking to him this year. I got a chance to meet him and was like, hey, Pandemic got me through the pandemic, funny enough. And I played a lot of Pandemic during
Played
COVID.
it, lived it.
Yeah. And Matt Leacock is like talking to me and he's like, yeah, what store do you work at? And it's like, I work at Gamescape. And he's like, oh, is that the one in Divisadero and Page? And I was like, yeah. He goes, is the bar still across the street? And I was like, yeah, the Page is still across the street. And he goes, I'm like, wait, how do you know about the bar that's like there? And he goes, oh yeah, because so I designed Pandemic at the store. And I was like, I'm sorry, come again? Like Pandemic being a San Francisco game is really well known. Pandemic being designed at Gamescape, I did not know. And the store has been around for 39 years. Wow. And I was like, that's amazing.
You need posters up, like Pandemic.
I have an interview with him specifically. That's the first question I ask it.
Oh, brilliant.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for
And
having
I
me.
know when people see this, we'll already be back, but
Yeah.
I'll see you a bit later in the week in Germany.
Yeah.
I'll see you in Germany.
Man, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank
Pleasure.
you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Ross.
Thanks, man.
Well,
Virtual.
Don't do that.
No, but
We've talked to you about air dicking.
we are going to go to Glory Holes later.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I think that's.
I don't know what it is, but I'm excited.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Patreons. We love you. You're helping keep the lights on. It's really appreciated. And thank you, everyone else, for watching. And if you don't subscribe, maybe now's the time to do.
Are you okay, Bella?
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.